Okay, so I'm back again. Um, we'll see what happens. I apologize, everybody. We'll see if the chat is going to work. I don't know why it's not working, but we'll try it again. It doesn't look any. There's nobody logged in yet. There's nobody on the chat right now, so we'll have to wait a second and see what's going to happen here. It is showing live. Yep. Okay, so everything's working. I don't know. No, there's nobody on here right now, but you know what? I'm going to go through some of the questions I have from other videos, other comments. I like to save them. I do reply to them on the video that somebody posted on. Like if they leave me a comment or a question, I do answer it there. But I like keeping track of those as well to be able to bring them up on the live chat again. Because I figure if one person's asking that question, there's probably a lot of people that need that answer as well. So I figure why not? So I keep those questions. So one of the questions I got, and it was I'm not sure what video it was. I think it was when we were living in Florida, and I had a Canadian RVer was asking about how do you get your mail, like when you're traveling everywhere, because when we're down in the States, we're down there for just shy of 6 months. And how do we get our mail? And to be honest, I know a lot of people will have their email transferred to a campground if that campground allows it. Obviously, there's a lot of campgrounds that don't allow that. There's a lot of campgrounds that will let you order like an Amazon package or something small like that, but not have your household mail sent down to you when you're down there for 6 months. And I totally understand that. I totally get that. So as Canadians, we have our mail show up at our Canadian address while we're gone. We have somebody that pops by once, twice a week to check on our place. They check the mail, and if they see anything that looks important, they'll take a picture of it and send it as text it to me and say, "Hey, I don't know what this is, but it looks kind of important." And if it's if need be, and we need something sent to us or forwarded down to us, we'll just ask the RV park that we're at if it's okay to have that one piece of mail sent down or whatever. Which is, to me, it's a reasonable request to ask a campground to do. When I think if you're traveling a lot, like if you're going to be in the States or if you're going to be down south, say a snowbird trip for 6 full months, and you're traveling around a lot, every 6 months or whatever, or every month, sorry, you would definitely need to have some kind of mail service. But as a Canadian, what I mean, it's just easier just to have it sent to your Canadian address and then, deal with it when you get back, kind of thing. Like that's just my opinion, but. Okay. All right. Nobody logged in yet. Okay, no problem. Well, we'll keep going. More questions. Um, so I did on one of the retirement ones. We were talking about liquidating assets, and somebody asked me, before you went full time RVing, did you sell your house or did you turn it into a rental? And that was a serious long-term conversation, probably like a couple of years worth of what should we do, um, I personally believe, this is just my opinion, that once you decide that I'm going to turn my house into a rental, it is no longer your house. It's not yours. It is a business feature. And if you have a house that you have put a ton of work into, or it has a ton of sentimental value, your kids were born in there, you raised your family in there, whatever the case may be, if you have sentimental attachment to your house, don't turn it into a rental. Because once it's a rental, it is a rental. It's just a business asset now. And some people may not take as care of it as you would wish and you would hope. You'd be going through the case of, how could they allow that to get busted, or do they not realize that those marks on the door frame were for the heights of our kids? How dare they paint over top of that? Stuff like that. That's just my opinion. If it's just a house and it's like, who cares? Sure, turn it into a rental if you want to. Sell it if you want to. If it has sentimental value, I would say keep it and not turn it into a rental if you can find a way to do it. Like, try to find a way. having to manage a rental while you're on the road, you just have to realize that you're not 5 minutes down the road to run and fix something. And if because it's a rental, it has to be fixed by like professionals. You have to have an electrician in there, a plumber, whatever, to fix certain things that you might have the skills to be able to do it yourself, but you're not 5 minutes down the road to do it. So you have to take that into account, how that dynamic is going to work, because you're not going to be there. You're not 5 minutes away, and maybe you'll get those phone calls at 2 a.m. from tenants panicking, or from if you can find a property management company to look after for you. you have to pay them a percentage. So it is a hard decision to make, but I think like I said, if you are attached to that house for sentimental value, I don't think you should turn it into a rental, because I believe it'll hurt a lot. I think that's just me though. Um, what is another one? Okay, I'm just going to open this up here, see if anybody's logged in. I don't think anybody is. Nope, nobody's watching. Okay. Okay. Uh, have you had any highway breakdowns, blown tires, etc.? We haven't had any highway breakdowns. We've had some issues. We had our belly plate under the RV like breakdown. It was still hanging there, it was blowing underneath. We didn't lose it or anything. That's when we were in Indiana at that time, but we were able to fix that and go from there. So that was I guess the closest to a breakdown. We've had some hubs overheat a couple of times when we were traveling through Florida when it was like extremely hot, but no real breakdowns. So thank God. Okay. Oh, how often do you change your tires? Short answer is every 5 years. The long answer is you need to check the date code on those tires and see what the age is on the tire. There's a 4-digit code, and it's the um, what is it? Month, year, and day.
Week.
Year and week of the tires. So you could, like, just check them, because I'm not saying that dealerships are dishonest. It's just things get missed. But we went to a dealership to help out friends of mine look at a trailer, and it was a 2015 trailer. But we checked the date codes on the tires, and they were actually 2008s. So that was kind of surprising. And the funniest part was the dealership honestly had no idea, and they actually put new tires on before they picked up their rig. So, that's great. It was a used fifth wheel, but they put brand new tires on. So that's great. Um, but yeah, every 5 years, as a general rule, I preach the tire covers to keep the sun from getting on them and stuff like that, to make them last longer, so you don't get that dry rot on the side. So that's something you got to keep track of as well. But as a general rule, it's every 5 years. A full-time use. If the trailer doesn't doesn't get used that much, doesn't move very very often, then of course that can change. But as a general rule, it's every 5 years. Um, Dun, dun, dun. Got one more. Oh yeah, what do we use for internet while we're traveling? We use the Wi-Fi at parks. We use the cell phones as hotspots, and that's it. That's what we do. We don't have to work from the road, so we don't need to have super reliable internet. So we have not bought into Starlink. We've used Starlink from friends of ours, but we haven't bought Starlink to use. So if we were having to run a business on the road, then yes, we would upgrade to Starlink, no questions asked. It would be there wouldn't even be a conversation. It would be like order it right now. But I think if you're not working, there's good enough Wi-Fi at most RV parks, or you can use your hotspot, or depending on what you need it for, you can do that. But I think that's really all you need, just for answering emails and stuff like that. So. What else we have here? I have one more question, and I'm gonna be the ultimate I almost said naysayer. That's not what I meant to say. I am not going to be I'm not going to be positive. I am not going to be negative. And this is very much it can happen any way it can happen. And the question is have you ever had any issues crossing the border going down south from Canada to the US on snowbird trips? I can honestly say we have never had issues crossing the border from Canada into the US to go down south for snowbird trips since we started full timing. So the 4 years, the four snowbird trips we've done, we have never had an issue crossing the border. I know that some people have. We never have, so I cannot give you a example or story of I was treated so poorly because I can put my hand on my heart and say I believe that I have had good experiences crossing the border because we prepare ourselves to cross the border. We research any new rules that may be in place since the last time we crossed the border. We check the American border crossing website, the Canadian border website, CBSA and CBP. I can't remember. Anyway, the two borders, we check them both. And then when we get to the border, we do everything exactly the way they tell you to do it. We have our documentation ready to go. We have everything to hand to them. We have our windows rolled down so they can see in the back, so they don't have to ask us to roll down our windows. The radios are turned off. The vehicle's in park. The ignition is off. You know what I mean? Like we do everything to facilitate an ease of crossing. That's what we do. And the longest we've ever the longest we've ever had to be at a border crossing booth, not including the lineup, of course, because the lineup's going to be pretty long. But once you get to the actual booth, from the time I put the truck in park to the time we've driven away has not once been longer than 5 minutes. Not once. Going down to the US, no issues at all. Coming back into Canada, there's a bunch of rules that you have to know coming back into Canada. We know those rules. We prepare for the border crossing. We have all of our documentation ready, and we have all of the answers ready to go for them when they ask us the questions because we research what they want to know and we make sure we have that information there. And we're always truthful. It's that simple. If you're just truthful, you won't have an issue. To me, it's that simple, right? And that's it. That's easy. Like that's all I can say about the border. There's a ton of rules on both sides. There is, you're going to hear the stories from like, well, I crossed here and they were so rude, but I crossed over here and they were really polite. I don't put any weight into that. Everybody has their own experiences, but you're only ever going to hear one side of the story. So do your research, read the rules, prepare the paperwork you need, and when you get there, just be honest. It's that simple. It is that simple. So anyway, that's all I'm going to do for that question because that's I'm sure I'm going to get all kinds of like, what are you talking about? I had this and I had this and all this kind of stuff. But anyway, that's all I'm going to do for that one. So anyway, since there's no logins, I'm going to leave this as an educational video, and I'm going to step out and we'll see you on the next video for sure, and stay tuned for some hopefully some awesome videos from the RV show in Ottawa on the 27th of February. So anyway, we'll talk to you soon. Take her easy. Cheers.